see. Probably not.
You've been asked that question before.
There's a chance there.
All right.
You love it.
I thought this was a cool question. Are there decisions you've made in the comic or the series that you've regretted? And what were they, and if they are, what would you do differently looking back?
I don't really have any regrets. So if I were to somehow fall into a dimension where I had to write the comic over again, I would be feverishly like, oh my god, I have to do everything exactly the same because, you know, people like that, and that worked out. So I don't really regret any decisions. That said, there are things in the comic book that I know don't really translate or can't really translate that well in the show. And one of the major things there was Rick Grimes losing his hand. Because Rick Grimes, when he first encounters the governor, one of the first things the governor does is cut off his right hand in the comic. And that's not something that happens in the show, you guys may be familiar with. And one of the reasons for that is the comic book medium doesn't have a lot of motion, and it's told from still picture to still picture. And so you can have a main character that only has one hand who can be putting on a shirt in one panel and be wearing the shirt in the next, and you don't go, did he just button that whole thing with one hand? Like, what's going on there? Or there's scenes where Rick Grimes is like holding the edge of a truck in one panel and then standing on the truck in the next. And it's like, I don't want to get into how he climbed up that truck with one hand, but he's totally on that truck. And if we were to do that in the show, we would be laughed off of television. Because they'd be like, wait, what are you doing? That guy can't just appear up there, that's crazy. And so there's a shorthand that we're able to utilize. And that really, oh yeah, that's a good pun. I did that on purpose. There's a no hand that we're able to utilize. You know, that's just, I think, one of the strengths of the comic book medium and, you know, one of the weaknesses of television, that you can't cheat like that. But there are little things like that that I think, you know, don't necessarily translate. So I'm like, yeah, this character's an awful person, but it's still fun to write.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really ever disliked a character. It's terrible. And then Walking Dead started selling well, and, you know, I did start making a little bit of money and was able to pay my bills, and that's nice and everything, but the freedom of knowing that I can listen to babies cry and keep talking as if it's not happening is freeing to me, and it's totally fine. That baby doesn't bother me at all. But I kept to know that I actually get to finish my story if I ever want to finish it, and to know that I can tell the story however I want, and people will, you know, not leave so quickly that the book will collapse immediately is good. I mean, if you look at the first 6 issues of the comic, we blew through the entire Rick, Shane, Lori. Love to be terrible. I don't want to be terrible.
It's all about acceptance, right?
Yeah, and I'm a writer, so I feel like I am terrible, you know? So that's the dark secret of all writers, is that we're always like, here's the work I finished, and I feel like it's terrible. But it's not that much of a secret.
All right, so you and your wife have decided to refurbish and open Ashford Acres on those.
Yeah, but we're not talking about that here. What are we doing? No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
You said nothing was on limits. So. I know the
This is my wife right here. I'm going to call her out. She's shaking her head. Everyone keeps looking at her. She's going to turn red. She's going to leave. This is my ex-wife.
You are going to die broke. I know the answer to this, I think. Any chance there's going to be a Walking Dead room in your inn?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. No, I mean, Ashford Acres is a project that she's spearheading with her sister, and it's not related to Walking Dead in any way, other than, I don't know, there might be a bookshelf that has like a copy of Walking Dead people can read if they're staying there. But yeah, it's going to be a beautiful place. I mean, it's out 27, a little bit past the hospital, on the left, and it's 63 acres. Is it 63 acres? 60.
Why do you call them walkers, like little old people do?
Well, that was